You're watching the Mondays with Midja podcast. Midja is founder and CEO of Legal Leadership, a company specialising in the leadership training and coaching of lawyers. Get set to jumpstart your week with a shot of mojo as Midja and her guests talk all things life, love and leadership.
Hey, it's Monday and I'm Midja, and welcome to the podcast all about life, love and leadership. And I'm in the studio all by myself today. It's been a little while since I have done an episode by myself. We've just had so many amazing guests that have come on talking about leadership and life and love, and the conversation's just been so great. And I enjoy that interview process. I learn so much. As they say in leadership, when you are the one talking, you're actually not learning anything. But when you shut up and you listen to others and you ask questions, you learn. And for me, the months that I've been doing the podcast and interviewing amazing leaders, there's so much that I've learned. And I have the transcripts of all those interviews. I'm so keen to go through those transcripts and take the gold from them. I just haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. But anyway, I will do that. And I'm sure I will turn that into some blogs and another leadership book, and also a book about love and dating advice. And my favorite dating advice or love story that we've had on the podcast so far has been by the guest when we had Ben Cox, and he is the CEO of the Gold Coast Hospital Foundation. If you haven't listened to that episode, I really encourage you to do it. It was, I just think, a powerful conversation. I didn't know Ben very well. I didn't know his story and why he does the work that he does before the interview. So that was really amazing. And his love story, I mean, oh my goodness. He was, and I don't know whether you felt that when you listened to it, but being in the studio with him and just that, I don't know, this is a bit woo-woo, but the energy, the feeling that I got from him when he spoke about his wife and their story. And I was like, oh my goodness, I want someone to talk about me like that one day. So that was so cool. So I've loved the interviews, and of course more to come in the coming weeks. A bit of an update, I guess, on my love life, because it is a podcast about love as well. So what can I share with you? There is someone that early days, but someone that I have spent some time with. And it's always interesting, isn't it, in those early days when you're meeting someone and you're keen, there's potential there. And I love the words of advice from Matthew Hussey. If you don't know who Matthew Hussey is, he is like a relationship guru guy, like a thought leader, if you like, on relationships. I think he's American, or is he from the UK? No, I think he's American, Matthew Hussey. And he talks about, those early stages of meeting people, and even, when you have there seems to be a lot of potential in that person or that relationship. His advice is to keep the mindset or keep the paradigm of we'll see. We'll see. And when you talk to people about the relationship, you can be positive about it and optimistic about it, but kind of hold that space of, we'll see. And I love that. And I take that into leadership as well. And I talk to leaders a lot about this, is that curiosity space of holding that, we're learning, we're growing space. And I have the phrase of keep it light. Keep things light, hold things lightly. And that way, we can stay with curiosity, we can keep learning and we can keep growing and exploring. But there's not this heaviness or this expectation around what will be. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping it light and I'm holding that space of we'll see. So more about that, if there's more to report on that in the coming weeks. So yeah, that's the love life at the moment. And around leadership, I've been out and about a lot, traveling, Sydney and Melbourne. I'm down to Canberra in a couple of weeks and over to Perth, I think, in 2 weeks as well. And it was recently I shared this story of my son Jack when he was very young. And it's a lesson around leadership. So I thought I would share that with you today. And this story, when did this happen? Well, he's my youngest. He's 11 now. So he was 18 months old when this happened. 18 months old, it was around, November, December, so Christmas kind of holidays, and we were all relaxing by the pool. So my two older kids, Tom and Sophie, I don't know, I think they would have been maybe 8 and 9 at the time, and Jack was 18 months old. And we were mucking about in the backyard. I was probably cleaning the pool out. We had the sand pit and the trampoline and the pool, and we're, all enjoying the sun. And we must have been around the pool, and Jack, 18 months old, running around the pool with his brother and sister. And all of a sudden, this little toddler falls straight into the pool. And Tom and Sophie immediately go into panic mode. They're like, Mom, he's fallen in, help him, Mom. They're like, going crazy. And I was like, just wait. Let's just give him a moment. Now, the context around this is that Jack was, his nickname was Bam Bam when he was younger. So this kid was strong. His gross motor skills and his strength were just kind of off the chart. I'm not sure why. But he walked really young. So he was walking at about 9 months, crawling, sitting up at 6 months, walking at 9 months. And it wasn't because some kids, they walk early because they're just so light and nimble. And you see some of these toddlers that get on their feet and there's just nothing to them and they're just able to walk and carry their own weight. With Jack, he wasn't like that at all. He was a big, chunky toddler like all of my kids. But he was just strong and he was able to pull himself up and so he walked really early. So, in my mind, I was like, this kid, this Bam Bam has got some strength about him. He's determined. And so when he fell in that pool, I could see that he was making his way to the surface again. And this little kid, with his little hands, and he was going his little feet, and he got to the surface of the pool and he took a breath, and then he went under a little bit more, and then he started to make his way to the side ledge that we had in this pool. And the little bugger, he made his way to the side ledge. He pulled himself out, stood up, got himself out. He looked at me, he looked at Tom and Sophie kind of for our reactions. And then he had this huge grin started on his face. He was just grinning. He started laughing, and then he got up to the side of the pool again, and he jumped in again and did exactly the same thing. He jumped in, went to the bottom, came out to the side of the pool on the ledge, and he must have done that for the rest of the afternoon. And he was laughing and giggling and just loving it. And to me, it's that story around leadership when you're leading people of, you just don't know what they're capable of doing unless you just allow that moment and allow that space where they can fend for themselves. And absolutely, you are still supervising and you are still there, but you clear the path for them and you give them the space. And I told this story, I think it was at a Queensland Law Society event a few weeks ago. And one of the lawyers asked me, she said, look, we've just done a segment on risk management, and as, practicing lawyers and running law firms, that we really need to supervise our staff and how important it is from a risk management point of view. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong. We don't want this other extreme of leadership where we just abandon our people altogether and leave the pool gate open, if you like, and just let them kind of wander in and, good luck and see what happens. We absolutely don't want that type of abandonment leadership, but we also don't want that micromanaging and, for us to be putting the floaties on our people and us being in the pool with them, supporting them the whole way, and not seeing what they're actually capable of achieving on their own by themselves. I don't know whether it was Jack Welch, I don't know who said this, but it's a quote that around, great leadership is when your people achieve things and afterwards they kind of go, I did that. Even though you were there and you were supporting them and you had a hand to play, that they kind of don't even realize that. They kind of just are so proud like Jack was, and they're smiling and they're laughing and they're like, I did that. I did that all by myself. That is what I'm capable of achieving. And of course, just like Jack, what they end up doing is just going back for more and more. Like, that was fun. I was able to do that. You know what? I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to do that again. And my favorite song at the moment, a song called Following the Sun. I don't know whether you know it, but of course, because I love the sun and I do want to create a life for myself where I just follow the sun around the globe, go to the other hemisphere for like June, July, and then come back. I love the sunshine. So in this song, Following the Sun, it has this line that says, I'm going to let you fall, but I won't let you break. And I kind of like that as well. I like that, there's times where I'm going to let you fall. And yes, I have to do a bit of a risk assessment of that, absolutely. But if you think back on your career and you think back on the lessons you've learned, the big lessons, those moments. For me, I know I have been allowed to fall and crash and burn. And I've made some monumental mistakes. And as a lawyer, that's not really much fun. And there can be some consequence to that. But without some consequence to that, sometimes I just don't think you learn the lesson. And similarly, when, I felt like I've been at the deep end of the pool and I felt like, I could go under here. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I'm capable of this challenge or not. Those have been the moments where I've stood up and I've gasped for air, but I've made it to the ledge of the pool. And my confidence has just been built in those moments. And I have realized my potential and I have seen what I'm capable of. And they're the life-defining, career-defining, confidence-building moments. And I think as a leader, those are the moments that you owe your people. Those are the moments that you want to give your people. So thinking about that for the week for you, thinking about, are there people that you need to give more space to, that you need to, maybe they're down the shallow end of the pool and they're standing up and they're very comfortable and that's all fun, but are there some people you need to drag down to that deep end and take the floaties off them and see what they are capable of achieving? And that's leadership. And even in the moment, it might seem a bit scary, but absolutely being there when your people need them, but giving them the space. So some thoughts for you on that for this week. And I want you to, think about your people, think about when you can create that space for them. And think about Jack. Think about that 18-month-old in that swimming pool. And just that moment where, we saw what this Bam Bam kid was actually capable of achieving. So I want you to go out there this week and, of course, spread your light, spread the sunshine in life and in love and in leadership. And I will be back next week. We'll be having an interview in the studio and can't wait to talk to you then. I'm Midja, and thank God it's Monday. Bye, everyone.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Mondays with Midja podcast. Host Midja Fisher is a leadership expert, keynote speaker, coach, and facilitator. To find out more about Midja, visit midja.com.au or follow her on Instagram at Midja Fisher. And make sure you subscribe, share, and leave a review.